Joining me now, Michigan Democratic Party Chair Lavora Barnes. Thank you so much for being with us today. When we focus in on Michigan, what do you see as the main issues that voters there are battling with?
It's good to be with you, Jose. I have to say, we always said this was going to be a tight race, and it is. And our voters, when we're talking to them on doors, are talking about all kinds of things. They're talking about the need to protect their democracy. They're talking about the economy. They're talking about abortion and women's rights. They're talking about just civility and the importance of caring for one another and caring for neighbors. It's an interesting mix of things that folks are talking about, but I think that these voters are very, very much focused on the future of their state and of their country, and they believe that Kamala Harris, many of them, most of them that we talk to, is the right choice for Michigan.
Yeah, and I was just wondering when this report out that the Harris campaign may be concerned about whether it can win Michigan or not. First, your thoughts on that first, and second of all, what are the main difficulties or barriers you think that the vice president's campaign is facing in Michigan?
I think the vice president's campaign is right to be concerned about every state. This is hard work, winning an election, particularly winning an election in 90-some days, since she's only been our top of the ticket for a little while here. And that's why we're doing the work here in Michigan. That's why we're on the ground, and we've been on the ground. That's why we're working so hard to talk to each and every voter we can. I think everybody knows that this is a divided nation, and this is a divided state just like that nation. We very much mirror what's happening in the country. And that means that we have to have conversations with folks who care about their democracy and care about their country, regardless of party. And those are the kinds of conversations we're having. It's the kind of thing that some of these endorsements that have happened recently of Republicans that help us drive that conversation, give people a little bit of a permission structure to step outside their party and support the candidate who will protect this nation and protect our state.
Just in the last hour, I was listening, because that's what we do. We listen to voices, all kinds of voices. I spoke to a state representative who represents part of Dearborn. He told me that a lot of his constituents have been so personally impacted by the conflict in the Middle East. And he talked about the suffering that has been happening in Gaza, the bombings inside Beirut, and they say they want to hear more from the candidates. It's interesting because when I asked him what message would you have for both campaigns, he says, just be more defined, be clear. I don't know if you could say that the Trump campaign has been, clear on many issues, this not being one of them. But has the Harris campaign been clear enough on these issues?
Let's start with, the Trump campaign and Trump himself has been pretty clear. The words that have come out of his mouth are words that folks should heed. The way he talks about immigrants, the way he talks about a Muslim ban, the way he talks about how he thinks that Netanyahu should double down on the horrific horrors that have been rained upon the folks in Gaza. Those are real. Those are words that have come out of his mouth, and those are words that folks should pay attention to. On the Harris side, absolutely, I think that more definition, and with time that will come, but we don't have a lot of time. What we have to know is that this is a compassionate woman who has used language that folks should understand. It's very different from the way President Biden talked about this issue, and she's had great conversations here in Michigan with folks about this issue. This is why organizations like Engage have endorsed, because they understand the difference between a Kamala Harris presidency and a Donald Trump presidency is literally life and death.
Lavora Barnes, I thank you so much for being with us today. Very much appreciated, and we're going to continue our conversation going forward. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.